ever felt like something ancient was watching you? Heard a sound in the woods that didn't belong to any living creature? Tonight's story isn't just a campfire tale, it's a descent into a forgotten place. A place even nature has abandoned. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and help me reach 1,000 subscribers. Because the forest doesn't want you to leave.
I was never one for group camping trips. But when my old college friends insisted on a reunion in the middle of North Carolina's forgotten forests, I agreed. It had been nearly 5 years. I missed them. Or maybe I just wanted to feel young again. We chose a spot no one really talked about, Cravenwood Reserve. A vast stretch of untouched forest, no cell service, no trails, no rangers. The only modern relic in miles? A rusted communication tower, long defunct and swallowed by the trees. It was a strange choice for a campsite, but Evan said it looked cool and cinematic. There were 6 of us, Evan, Hazel, Jonah, Mira, Cassie, and me. We were all smiles and campfire jokes that first night. We roasted marshmallows, swapped drunk stories, and laughed under a sky so black, it felt hollow. But around 2 a.m., something changed. We heard clicking. Not twigs. Not animals. Something metallic. Intermittent, deliberate. Coming from the direction of the old signal tower. Jonah, half drunk, said, "Maybe it's just the wind knocking the cables." But there were no cables. The tower had been stripped bare, gutted like a carcass. We ignored it. Or tried to. But then came the broadcast. A high-pitched tone whined from Evan's portable radio. It hadn't worked all day, but now it buzzed to life, hissing static. Then, clear as day, a voice. "They've come back. Tower 7 must not transmit. They are beneath. They listen through light. Do not look at the beam." We froze. The voice was deep, cracked, like it had been recorded decades ago. But none of us were laughing now. Evan turned off the radio, shook his head like it was a joke. Old pre-recorded weather test. Some freak coincidence. But Hazel had already stood up. Her face was pale. "Did you hear that part? They listen through light. What does that even mean?" We slept in shifts that night. Or tried to. We decided to leave. Something in the air felt off. Not just eerie, wrong. Like the forest was sick. The moss had turned black near the tower's base. Birds didn't chirp. No bugs. No wind. But Mira wanted to explore the tower before we left. She said she dreamed about it the night before. It was shining, she whispered. A cold white beam. Like a lighthouse in the trees. Jonah, always the skeptic, rolled his eyes. Dreams are just your brain farting memories. Still, she went. We followed. The climb up the rusted metal steps was hell. They creaked under our weight. The higher we went, the colder it got. Near the top platform, Cassie stopped and gasped. On the floor was a symbol, burned into the metal. A spiral with lines branching outward. Like a sun, or an eye. And then, the light came. A beam exploded from the top of the tower, pure white, silent, like a blade cutting through the sky. We screamed. Because in the forest below, something moved. They weren't animals. Or people. They were thin, gray, wrong. Like something born without bones. Their movements were jerky, fragmented, as if time broke around them. They didn't look up at us. They just stood there, swaying in the light. Hazel whispered, "They're listening." And then Mira started walking toward the edge of the platform. Eyes wide. Smiling. She whispered, "He said I was chosen." We grabbed her. Pulled her back. But the light wouldn't shut off. The radio screamed again. "They will know your shape. You saw the beam. There is no forest. There is only Tower 7. Begin again. We ran. We ran through that forest like hell itself followed. The sky had no stars now, just that beam slicing through blackness. Cassie tripped. Screamed. We never found her again. Evan's flashlight died. We lost him 2 minutes later. No sound. No struggle. He just wasn't behind us anymore. We made it to the road by dawn. All that was left were 3 of us. Hazel wouldn't speak. Jonah kept repeating the phrase they listened through light. We reported what happened. No one believed us. And when we returned a week later with police, there was no tower, no rusted frame, no burn marks, no symbol, just trees and silence. If you see a white beam slicing through the trees, don't look, don't listen, just run. And if this story chilled you, if you felt the shadows shift around you tonight, hit that subscribe button, because this isn't the only tower in the woods. Some are still broadcasting. Have you ever had the same dream 2 nights in a row? Or closed your eyes and felt something still watching you from the dark? Tonight's story isn't about monsters or ghosts. It's about a place that shouldn't exist. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. My name is Marcus. I'm 24. And what I'm about to tell you didn't happen years ago. It happened last summer. We were a group of 5. Old college friends. Nothing crazy, just one last trip before life really swallowed us whole. Emma, Derek, Lisa, Benny, and me. We didn't want to go somewhere commercial or well-known. So we found a place online. A place not marked on most maps. Whistler Lake. Supposedly abandoned after a fire in 1986. No ranger stations. No campers. No trails. Just a lake and silence. That's what we wanted. Silence. We found it all right. But we weren't the only ones there. The lake was beautiful. Still. Too still. No birds. No bugs. No frogs in the water. Just the soft sound of the wind and that strange whistle every time it passed through the trees. Benny joked that the place was named after the sound. Emma laughed nervously. It sounds like breathing. We set up camp on the west side of the lake. The sun fell fast. Shadows crept in early. Lisa swore she saw someone standing across the lake just before dusk. Tall, unmoving, almost blending with the trees. But when we looked, no one. Around 3 a.m., I woke up. There was a sound outside the tent. Not footsteps. Not animals. Whistling. Soft. Long. Drawn out. And then, silence. I held my breath. My heart pounded. After a few minutes, I unzipped the flap. Nothing. But on the ground, near the fire pit, someone had drawn a circle in the dirt. A perfect circle. With one small rock placed exactly in the center. No one mentioned it in the morning. Because no one else saw it. The circle was gone by sunrise. We decided to hike the trail that wrapped around the lake. That's when Derek found it. A small wooden sign, old and cracked, nailed to a crooked tree. You saw it. You're marked. We thought it was some weird prank. Or an old forest ranger joke. But when Lisa took a picture of it with her phone, the screen glitched. The photo was just black. Every time. And then her phone died. Fully charged, gone. That night, she didn't speak. She just stared into the woods. Like something in there had already claimed her. I woke up again. Whistling. Louder this time. And then a whisper, right outside the tent. One more. The next morning, Benny was gone. No blood. No drag marks. No signs of struggle. Just his shoes. Sitting neatly outside his tent. and another perfect circle near the fire pit, this time with 2 stones in the middle. Emma wanted to leave. So did I. But Lisa? She smiled and said, "We can't. He's not done." The whistling began earlier, before sunset. It wasn't just one voice anymore. There were several. In harmony. Inhuman and hollow. The lake's surface rippled without wind. The trees stopped moving. The air got thick, like breathing cotton. Derek screamed. We turned around, and he was floating. Floating, 10 feet off the ground. Head tilted back, mouth wide open, eyes rolled white. And then, he was gone. No sound. No body. Just another damn circle. 3 stones this time. Emma ran. Lisa followed her, laughing. I stayed. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to see it. Maybe I had already been marked. I don't remember passing out. I woke up by the water, cold and alone. Lisa was back. Standing on the lake's surface. Not in the water. On it. She was humming. The same whistle. And her eyes were gone. Not closed. Gone. She pointed behind me. I turned. And saw the thing. It wasn't a man. It wore the shape of one. But its arms were too long. Its legs bent wrong. And its face. It was just a stretched mouth. Whistling. Always whistling. I'm telling you this because someone out there is planning a trip. Someone is looking for a quiet place, far from everything. If you find a map with Whistler Lake on it, burn it. And if you hear whistling in the woods, don't run. Don't look. Close your eyes and pray you're not next. If this story kept you awake, hit that subscribe button and help me reach 1,000 brave souls. Because I'm not the only one who made it out. And they might come looking. Have you ever felt a heartbeat when no one else was around? Or seen a shadow move just outside your vision? Tonight's story didn't start with laughter or a crackling fire. It started with silence. I'm April, 26, and I should have known better. But I needed a break from city life, so did my 3 friends. Tyler, Sophia, and Raj. We booked a weekend at Hollow Pines Retreat, an off-grid camp resort tucked deep in Oregon's Cascade Mountains. Advertised as off the map, authentic wilderness, and no Wi-Fi ever. We thought it sounded perfect. The drive-in was gravel and rutted dirt. By noon, we'd lost cell signal. We found our cabin, an A-frame of weathered cedar, fronting a small glacial pond. Everything felt untouched. Too perfect. That night, we built a fire by the water's edge. Sophia told ghost stories. Tyler joked about camp cabin vibes. Raj snapped pictures of us silhouetted in the flames. Then, at exactly 11:11 p.m., the fire flickered out, no wind, just darkness. We froze. In the sudden blackness, we heard a low thud behind us. I turned on my flashlight. On the far side of the cabin, in the pines, something moved. A figure. Tall, hunched. It vanished before Raj could snap its photo, but his camera clicked once, and then died. Morning came slowly. By breakfast, we laughed it off, just a deer, we're jumpy. But the pond was off. The water's reflection didn't match the sky. It looked distorted, like a funhouse mirror. After lunch, we found a note slipped under the cabin door. Join US at midnight. By the pond. No signature. No handwriting. Just block letters, dripping like wet paint. Sophia wanted to leave. Tyler teased that it was part of the experience. Raj took the note and smiled. Maybe the camp organized a midnight party. I told them I was staying in. But when I reached for my mug, my hand brushed cold metal. A small key. Rusty. Unmarked. We crept to the pond at midnight. The camp lanterns were lit, glowing sickly yellow. And there, circling the water, were 5 figures in hooded cloaks, no faces, just darkness under each hood. My friends joined me at the water's edge. They froze with me. One of the cloaked figures held a carved wooden bowl. Then came a whisper, not from them, but from inside my head. "One of you belongs to the pond." I bolted. Sophia screamed. Tyler lunged. Raj dropped the bowl. The cloaks didn't move, but the water rippled toward us, though there was no wind. Suddenly, 3 more keys splashed into the bowl. We looked at each other, breathless. The pond's surface cracked, like ice, even though it wasn't frozen. The hooded figures began to chant, low, guttural, echoing through the pines. "Offer the key, or join the depths." Tyler dropped his key into the bowl, stepping back. The chant stopped. A figure removed its hood. Its face was a polished mirror. It showed Tyler's reflection, his eyes empty. Then the figure shattered, and Tyler collapsed, eyes rolled back. Sophia screamed and dropped her key. Raj hesitated, trembling, then flung his key in. I stood with the last key in my hand. The chanting resumed, louder, closer. I thought of my life back home. My dreams. My fear. I threw my key and ran. I found myself at the cabin door, the key still in my pocket. Sophia and Raj were gone. Tyler. I never saw him again. The forest was silent. Even the birds were gone. At sunrise, I stumbled onto the access road. A passing car stopped, an elderly couple. They stared at me, confused by my wild eyes and muddy clothes. They drove me to the nearest town. I reported my friends missing, but the sheriff just frowned. Hollow Pines? That place closed 20 years ago. Fire took it. People died. Nobody's lived there since. There are camps that welcome you, and camps that take you. I don't know what the key was for, but I know what I saw. If you ever see a wooden bowl at midnight, or an unmarked key in your hand, don't drop it. Don't throw it. Run. And if this story chilled you to the bone, hit that subscribe button and help me reach 1,000 subscribers. Because somewhere, those cloaked figures are gathering again. Have you ever followed a light into the unknown? Or felt the pull of something that shouldn't exist? Tonight's story isn't about campfire ghosts or wild animals. It's about a light that never goes out. My name is Lydia. I'm 27. And I learned that some objects carry secrets, ones you can't unsee. My friends, Nate, Priya, and Marco, found Fernwood Camp through an old travel blog. It boasted pristine grounds and historic cabins. What the blog left out was the camp's dusty attic, where they kept dozens of antique lanterns. We claimed Cabin 7, a weathered A-frame with creaking floors and a metal roof that echoed every raindrop. Nate, ever curious, climbed into the attic at dusk. He returned with a lantern unlike any other, brass, engraved with strange symbols, and no glass covering the flame. "It's cool," he said, "but why is it still burning?" The wick glowed blue-white. No oil drip. No wind flicker. We shrugged it off until the lantern began to follow us. That night, I was jolted awake by soft whispers, 2 voices, almost overlapping. "Come closer. We've been waiting." I fumbled for my phone, no signal. The whispers continued, drifting around the room. I saw the lantern's flame, pale and steady, at the foot of my bed. I whispered, "Nate. Priya. Marco." No reply. The lantern's flame grew taller, stretching upward like a pale finger. When morning finally arrived, my friends were asleep, peaceful, unaware. But etched in the wooden floorboards were symbols matching the lantern's engravings. Over breakfast, Priya mentioned hearing her childhood lullaby, though none of us had hummed it. Marco claimed he saw reflections in cabin windows that didn't match our movements. And every time we tried to leave Cabin 7, The lantern was waiting outside the door, flame blazing. I confronted Nate. "Why are you bringing this thing everywhere?" He shrugged. "It's kind of mesmerizing." Priya rolled her eyes. "Or it's controlling you." That afternoon, we hiked to the old well at the camp's edge, a structure everyone avoided. Priya tossed a pebble in, no splash. Instead, the lantern appeared at the well's rim, resting on moss-covered stones. When Nate picked it up, the well's darkness rippled, like the water had turned to ink. After dinner, we played cards by the main fire. I noticed shadows moving behind us, though the firelight reached every branch. Priya went to refill her drink and never returned. We searched the cabins and the woods. No sign of her, only her faint humming, echoing through the pines. The lantern appeared at the fire's edge, flame flickering blue-white. Nate reached for it. Marco grabbed his arm. "Marco, don't touch it." "Nate, eyes vacant, she's calling." Nate walked into the woods, lantern held high, following Priya's humming. Marco and I chased him under a canopy of limbs that seemed to shift, closing behind us. We found them at the old well. Priya stood at its rim, face pale, eyes fixed on the lantern's flame. Nate held it between them, like a beacon. "Priya, softly, it's beautiful." "Nate, she's here." I lunged for the lantern. The flame roared, and the air turned ice cold. Priya vanished, one moment humming, the next gone. Nate screamed as if struck, and collapsed. Marco dragged me back to cabin 7, Nate's body in his arms, lantern left behind. We barricaded the door. The lantern's glow seeped under the cracks, pulsing. At dawn, I ventured outside. The camp was empty, no staff, no other campers. The forest beyond was silent. Even the birds were gone. Nate woke, weak, confused, but alive. He said he dreamt of voices leading him to safety, or to perdition. He couldn't remember which. We packed a single bag each. On our way out, I glanced at cabin 7's attic window. A row of lanterns, the new brass one at the center, flame dancing still. Some lights guide you home. Others guide you somewhere else entirely. If you ever find an unmarked lantern glowing blue-white, don't pick it up. Run. Have you ever felt like you were the only one out of place? Like everything else knew something you didn't? Tonight's story isn't about ghosts or monsters. It's about silence and what grows inside it. My name is Eli, I'm 25, and last summer, I went somewhere I shouldn't have. My two friends, Miles and Danny, and I were looking for a remote spot to reset. No social media. No news. No stress. We found a place called Craven Camp from an old web forum. No photos, no contact number, just a note that read, "Still, clean air. Absolute silence. No one leaves unsatisfied." We booked it through a wire transfer. Sketchy? Definitely. But it was cheap. And remote. When we arrived, a man was waiting at the gate. He didn't speak, just nodded and handed us a small pamphlet titled, "Respect the Silence. Be part of the stillness." The camp had 5 small cabins, spaced evenly around a clearing. Ours was cabin 3. Everything was perfectly arranged. Too perfect. There was no wind, no birdsong, not even the sound of insects. And posted outside each cabin, in brass lettering, were rules. Do not speak after sundown. Do not ask about the other guests. Do not enter cabin 5. Silence is safety. We laughed at them at first. Thought it was all part of some bizarre backwoods theme. That night, Miles whispered a joke just after 9 p.m. Not even loud. Within seconds, a bell rang from the trees. No one around. Just a single, sharp clang. And then, silence returned. We noticed cabin 4 was empty the night before. But in the morning, its door was ajar, and a pair of boots sat neatly on the porch. Danny swore she saw a figure standing in the woods near sunrise. Still watching. Miles joked, maybe we're on a reality show. But when he tried to use his phone, the screen wouldn't respond. The battery hadn't drained. It was frozen, just like mine. That night, we said nothing after sundown. And still, a bell rang again. 3 times. Danny was the first to change. She stopped responding, just nodded or pointed, smiled occasionally, but there was something missing behind her eyes. Miles and I tried to talk to her, but she gently placed a finger over her lips and shook her head. At breakfast, we noticed cabin 1 was now completely empty. Even the bed sheets were gone. All that remained was a note on the table. I've joined them. I hear nothing now. And it's beautiful. That night, we didn't hear the bell. Instead, we heard breathing from beneath our cabin. Heavy. Slow. As if something enormous was lying under the floorboards. Miles insisted we had to leave. We tried the car, dead. Our backpacks were gone. Even the road we came in on was covered in fog thick as cement. Then Danny left. Just walked out of the cabin. No bag. No shoes. Just walked toward cabin 5. Miles chased after her. I waited. I waited for hours. He never came back. The next morning, cabin 5's door was open, and a new pair of boots sat beside it. I packed a few things and walked toward the main gate. But there was no gate. No path. Just forest. And that, silence. When I returned, someone was standing in front of cabin 3, a woman in a gray uniform. She handed me a new pamphlet. Same cover. New words inside. Congratulations. You've completed the isolation phase. You may now choose. Remain and become part of the stillness. Attempt escape. Note, speech will trigger removal. I looked up. She was gone. I don't remember choosing. I just remember waking up in cabin 1, and the silence wasn't empty anymore. It was full. Like the world had been too loud, and I had finally heard what mattered. If this story disturbed you, good. Have you ever felt the earth shift beneath your feet? Heard the ground groan, as if it were alive? Tonight's tale isn't about ghosts or ghouls. It's about the land itself turning against you. Day 1, arrival at Buried Hollow. I'm Jordan, 28, and last summer my 4 pals and I craved a truly off-grid adventure. We found Buried Hollow Camp in an old surveyor's journal, marked simply as Campsite X. No address. No phone. Just coordinates. When we drove in, the road ended in a muddy clearing ringed by towering pines. We pitched tents around a dried-up creek bed. The air smelled of damp earth and forgotten things. That night, our campfire seemed swallowed by the darkness. Sparks vanished into the shadows. Somewhere, beneath the creek's cracked stones, something scratched. Morning brought out footprints, wide, flat, deeper than ours, leading from the creek bed into the woods. No other prints around them. We followed them to a cluster of moss-covered stones. Embedded in one was a rusted metal latch. Derek pried it open. Beneath lay a narrow shaft, a ladder descending into pitch black. We shone flashlights down and saw nothing but earth walls. Let's come back with proper gear, I said. We retreated. At dusk, we heard voices muffled by dirt, like crying or chanting, from below. The ground trembled. My heart raced. Ignoring our fear, we returned at noon with ropes and lanterns. One by one, we lowered ourselves into the shaft. The air was damp and heavy. Faint scratches echoed above. At the bottom, we uncovered a small stone chamber, walls carved with glyphs depicting figures being swallowed by the earth. In the center lay 3 wooden coffins, half buried in mud. I touched the nearest lid. It shuddered. We scrambled up as the earth above us rumbled. Back at camp, the tents were torn. Footprints circled each one. That night, The creek bed cracked. A low moan erupted from underground. We watched in horror as clods of dirt slid aside, revealing dozens of empty eye sockets staring from the earth. They blinked, one by one, before the hollows collapsed back into soil. Laura screamed and pointed. In the distance, dozens of pale hands clawed at tree trunks, as if trying to climb. Then they stopped, buried themselves, and the forest fell silent again. We decided to dig out the shaft and seal it. Shovels in hand, we worked under moonlight. Dirt flew. The ground shook. Each shovel strike felt like hitting bone. Suddenly, the earth split beneath my feet. I fell into a hidden pit and saw a living wall, faces pressed against the clay, mouths open in silent screams. I scrambled up as the wall throbbed and collapsed. When I surfaced, only 2 of us remained, me and Harper. The others vanished, no trace. At dawn, we packed a single backpack and followed our tire tracks back toward the main road. But the forest had shifted overnight. Landmarks were gone. Trees resembled the coffin's glyphs, twisted and hollow. Our compass spun wildly. The soil beneath us felt soft, alive. Harper collapsed, shouting that something was pulling on her boots. I yanked her free and stumbled on alone. By midday, I burst onto a paved highway. A truck slowed, the driver staring at my mud-smeared face. I pointed back into the woods, open-mouthed. He revved off without a word. Some places aren't meant to be found. Buried beneath layers of history, waiting for curious hands. If you ever unearth a hidden door in the ground, stop. Step back. Run. Have you ever followed a path, only to realize it was leading you somewhere else entirely? Felt something tug at your backpack straps, when no one was there? Tonight's tale isn't about a ghost in the cabin. It's about a trail that never ends.
My name is Kira, I'm 29, and I love hiking more than anything. Last summer, I joined 3 friends, Owen, Talia, and Marcus, on a backpacking trip to Redwood Hollow. We'd heard a rumor of a hidden trail that circled the entire valley, but no one ever returned. At the ranger station, an old man slipped me a folded parchment. He said, "Don't trust the map. It whispers your name." I laughed it off and tucked it into my pack. That afternoon, we pitched camp at Base Point Day. When night fell, I unfolded the map by lantern light. The ink shimmered in the glow, and I thought I heard a faint voice. "Kira, follow me." We set out at dawn, using the map's dotted line. At first, the trail was beautiful, towering redwoods, sun-dappled moss, and a cool breeze. But soon, we reached a split marked by a large boulder painted with an arrow. "This way." We took it, and immediately felt the forest grow darker. The air stilled. The birds fell silent. From somewhere above, a low whisper called my name. "Kira, this way." I glanced back. Owen and Talia were ahead. Marcus lagged behind with me. He joked, "Maybe it's the wind in the leaves." But the boulder arrow had vanished. By midday, the map had shifted, new paths appearing in ink that wasn't there before. When I touched one, the parchment pulsed like a heartbeat. That evening, we built a fire. Marcus studied the map and swore he saw our camp marked as X, with a small note. "Not safe." We laughed nervously, until Talia screamed. From the tree-line, dozens of branches swayed in unison, though no wind blew. And we heard whispers echoing around us. "Lost, lost, lost." Marcus leapt up, shining his flashlight, but saw nothing. Then he pointed at the map. Our current position had moved, deeper into the woods, far from Base Point A. In the gray dawn, we tried to retrace our steps, but the map's lines twisted, forming a labyrinth. Each path we chose brought us back to the same spot, a clearing with a single dead sapling. And the whispers, they were louder now, urgent, muttering our names, dancing just beyond sight. Owen accused me. You and your cursed map! I tore it open, the ink ran, spelling out, You cannot leave! Talia sank to her knees and wept. Marcus snapped. Then we'll burn it! He lit the corner aflame, but the fire halted inches from the parchment, as if an invisible barrier held it back. We fled into the woods, map in hand. No paths remained, only mossy ground and gnarled roots. Our water ran low. Our phones had no signal. The forest seemed to pulse, alive. Roots shifting beneath our boots. Trees leaning to block our view. At dusk, we stumbled onto an old ranger station, boards rotting, windows dark. Inside, a wall covered in hundreds of maps, each one whispering our names. And in the center hung our map, glowing faintly. The whisper came again, clear and close. Welcome home, Kira. Drenched in sweat and fear, we reached for the map's center, where a single phrase appeared overnight. One may leave. Only one. We looked at each other, realizing none of us would survive if we all tried. Talia sobbed. Take me. I'll stay. Marcus shook his head. No, I'll do it. Owen pushed me forward. You got us here, you lead us out. I stared at the map. The whisper in my ear. Choose wisely. I chose Marcus. The map inked over him, then burned away in my hands, finally allowing one true path to open. I ran alone, following the line in the dirt. The forest receded. The birds returned. The wind whispered goodbye. I never saw Owen or Talia again. And Marcus. Marcus was never found. The map lies buried now, deep beneath a redwood. But every time I hike, I still hear it whisper my name. If this story chilled you, hit subscribe and help me reach 1,000 subscribers. Because some maps aren't meant for one. They're meant for none.